kufungua gwaride hili. Sasa kija kumwomba kwa heshima Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na Amiri Jeshi Mkuu wa majeshi yote ya ulinzi ruhusa ya kagua gwaride lililoandaliwa na majeshi ya ulinzi ya Kenya. ya jeshi letu la wanaanga Wajir, Luteni Eric Kanyoni Mwangi. Divisheni ya pili chini yake Captain Hassan Hamadi Mahaba. Divisheni ya 4 jeshi letu la
transport wakiwa katika magwanda yao mazito ya kivita, chini yake Peloton Willy
wakiwa kwa mavazi yao mepesi ya kikazi.
Wanafuata hivi sasa ni B Company Kenya Army Corps Inspector Yusila Jefosgate akishirikiana na inspector yao mepesi ya kikazi. Mipaka almaarufu Border Police Unit, chini yake Inspector Rafael Neria katika magwanda yao mazito ya kikazi. Mheshimiwa Rais, wanafuata hivi sasa
kifuatacho cha askari wa kulinda magereza yetu, chini yake Chief Inspector Seungwa Kitebe akishirikiana naye ya urasmi ya sherehe. Wafuatao hivi sasa ni askari wa kupambana na ghasia magerezani almaarufu Anti-Riot Squad, chini yake Inspector Austin Mwanyama, Lilian Makena wakiwa kwa mavazi ya urasmi ya sherehe.
Your Excellency, it's a great honor and privilege to welcome you to Wajir County, the camel capital of Kenya, for the 63rd National Madaraka Day celebrations. On this day, as we reflect on our historic journey towards self-governance, I wish to recognize the courage, sacrifice, and the selflessness of our forefathers and the freedom fighters at both national and regional level. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me first to express our profound gratitude to His Excellency the President of Kenya, President William Samoei Ruto, for according Wajir County and the wider northeastern region the honor to host this year's Madaraka Day. Your Excellency, the name Wajir means coming together. Wajir is not just a geographical space, it was a strategic bastion. Nestled between Garissa and Mandera, Wajir has for centuries stood as a vital artery of trade, a historic crossroads connecting the Republic of Kenya to its neighbors, Somalia and Ethiopia. Long before the colonial borders, Wajir was a prize to be won, a strategic stronghold, a fierce battleground between the British and the Italians. And Your Excellency, this is the only place in Kenya that for 2 years was under Italian rule. Today, Your Excellency, this town is blessed with sacred historic sites for everyone to see. We stand proud as the home of some of the pioneer educational institutions in the Republic of Kenya, including Wajir Full Primary School and Wajir High School, established in the 1940s and 60s respectively.
Leo ni siku kuu kwa jamhuri yetu kwa sababu ya hafla hii ya siku ya leo ya 63 ya madaraka ambayo tunafanyia hapa Wajir. I want to congratulate you, Mr. President, for taking the inclusivity and equality agenda of our country a step further. Katika miaka 63 ambayo imepita, tumepiga hatua muhimu katika maendeleo ya nchi yetu. Tumekuwa tukizingatia katiba na tunaendelea kuizingatia. Lakini Mheshimiwa Rais, katika miaka ambayo umekuwa mamlakani, serikali ya awamu ya 5 ambaye wewe ni kiongozi wa hiyo serikali imefanya mambo muhimu ili kuweka mbele utaifa wetu na kuunganisha taifa letu la Kenya. Umetoa utaratibu ambao ulikuwa unabagua wananchi kutoka sehemu hii ya kaskazini mwa Kenya, na sasa utaratibu wa kutoa stakabadhi za kitaifa zikiwemo vitambulisho, utaratibu ambao unatumika sehemu zote za Kenya ndio utaratibu unatumika hata hapa Wajir na kaskazini mwa Kenya na pwani, na hakuna tena sababu ya kuwa na utaratibu tofauti ambao unalinganisha wananchi kulingana na dini zao ama maeneo ambao wametoka. Rais Ruto ni fire si fire. Mr. President, just yesterday you opened the power plant in Abaswen. There are similar power plants your government has done in Eldas, in Elwak, in Merti, and for bringing the people of this part of our country into the integrated energy and well-lit Kenyan nation. We salute you na tunasema uendelee rais. Mwisho kabisa, nataka nikupongeze Mheshimiwa Rais kwa sababu umesema ya kwamba vile umeanzisha hazina ya miundo msingi wa kitaifa, National Infrastructure Fund, umetuambia kwamba ile pesa mingi ya kujenga mabawa ya maji under the National Infrastructure Fund, most resources will be dedicated to arid and semi-arid lands, and that is going to change the fortunes of Wajir, northern Kenya, and the nearly 75% of the arid and arid lands of our country. Rais Ruto ni fire si fire. Aendelee asiendelee. Mr. President, you have not only brought dignity to all the people of Kenya, but also you have put our inclusivity agenda forward by making sure that the development projects of our country are equitably shared. And Mr. President, we are looking forward to the completion of your famous road connecting Mandera to Ramu, to Gare, to Elwak, to Kobo, from Kobo to Kotulo, to Tarbaj, to Wajir, to Samata, to Modogashe, past Garbatula, all the way to Kulamawe and Isiolo. Rais Ruto ni fire si fire. Ajenge asijenge.
Of the 31.5 million Kenyans registered with the Social Health Authority, about 800,000 are residents of Wajir, Garissa, and Mandera counties, representing one of the most significant expansions of healthcare inclusion since independence. To date, SHA has paid 8.1 billion Kenya shillings in claims for services provided in these three counties, demonstrating the transformative impact of this reform on access to quality healthcare. Beyond healthcare, ladies and gentlemen, inclusion must translate into opportunity for our young people. Already, more than 2,500 youth across all 30 counties of Wajir County have benefited from the Nyota program through business support, capital, training, and mentorship. Across Wajir, Garissa, and Mandera counties, more than 7,200 young people are beneficiaries. We are also investing in Jitume digital hubs, ICT centers, digital skills programs, and digital infrastructure so that a young person in Wajir can compete with any person in Kenya and globally. Through the labor mobility program, we are opening pathways to jobs, skills, and international experience. Our message to the young people of Northern Kenya is simple. Your future will not be defined by geography. It will be defined by your talent, your skills, and your determination. But talent and determination flourish where opportunity is accessible and infrastructure is strong. That is why we are investing not only in people, but also the foundations of economic transformation. Today in Wajir County, through our affordable housing program, we have invested 15.6 billion shillings in the development of 4,600 housing units, including markets and including hostels, which are at various stages of procurement and construction. This is the largest housing development Wajir has witnessed since independence. One of these projects, located just 3 kilometers from here, stands as a visible symbol of our commitment to ensuring that development, opportunity, and decent living are not reserved for only a few regions. These projects are creating jobs for our young people and generating opportunities for local enterprises. But this is only one part of a much larger transformation. Across Wajir, Garissa, and Mandera counties, projects valued at approximately 38.5 billion are currently at various stages of implementation. These investments are delivering affordable housing, student accommodation, modern markets, police housing, classrooms, and other supporting infrastructure that will improve lives, expand economic opportunity, and accelerate the region's development. Yet we know that inclusion does not end with recognition. It must be reflected in people's daily lives, in the education of their children, the health that they access, the opportunities available to their young people, and the roads they travel on. That is why the bottom-up economic transformation agenda was conceived not merely as an economic program, but as a deliberate strategy for inclusion. This administration, my administration, has deliberately invested in Northern Kenya and historically marginalized regions of our republic. Of all the investments, ladies and gentlemen, we are making in Northern Kenya, none is more important than education, which is also the theme of this year's Madaraka: education, skills, and the future. Of all the tools a nation possesses, education is the most potent. It is the bridge between promise and possibility, between poverty and prosperity, and between exclusion and belonging. Unlike in 1963, the next frontier of Kenya's liberation will not be fought on conventional battlefields. It will be won in classrooms and lecture halls, laboratories and workshops, and in innovation hubs. The nations leading the world today and their position: South Korea, Malaysia, Singapore, invested in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education and became a technology powerhouse. Singapore turned it to its people into the greatest resource. Finland built a knowledge economy through sustained investment in learning. Kenya is decisively moving in that direction. The competence-based education and training system is transforming what learning means in Kenya. It is equipping our children not merely to pass examinations, but to think critically, solve problems, innovate, and compete on the global stage. It is designed around a simple but powerful belief that every child has unique abilities and talents worth discovering, nurturing, and unleashing. What particularly encourages me is that 52% of learners in the first ever grade 10 cohort have chosen the STEM pathway. This tells us that a new generation is rising, one that will drive Kenya and Kenya's industrial transformation, power our technological advancement, and build the innovation economy that will define our nation's next chapter. That is why this administration has made education not just a priority, but the foundation of our future. No nation can rise above the knowledge, the capabilities, and the skills of its citizens. Our education budget has grown from 500 billion in 2022 to over 702 billion today. We have hired more than 100,000 teachers in just 3 years, with 20,000 more set to be hired this year, making it one of the most ambitious teacher recruitment drives in our nation's history. Most importantly, and as a source of pride for the people and leaders of Northern Kenya, 3 years ago, we agreed that the lasting solution to teacher shortages in this region was to train more local teachers. That is why we operationalized the Wajir and Kutulo and Mandera Teachers Training Colleges to complement Garissa Teachers Training College. Today, through this affirmative action program, a record 1,800 local teachers from the 3 counties of Wajir, Mandera, and Garissa have been employed and will be deployed in the region. Additionally, 4,616 young people from this region are enrolled in teacher training colleges, the highest number in our history. This is how lasting solutions are built, by investing in people. And then there is livestock. Here in Wajir and across northern Kenya, livestock is more than an economic activity. It pays school fees, feeds families, creates jobs, drives trade, and in difficult times, sustains entire communities. The sector contributes about 12% of Kenya's GDP and 42% of agricultural GDP. In the ASAL counties, it accounts for more than 90% of employment and above 95% of household incomes. Yet for decades, pastoralism was regarded as one of Kenya's most valuable economic assets, while receiving limited support in animal health, markets, infrastructure, and financing. We are changing that through one of the most significant livestock restocking programs in recent years. We have distributed more than 52,000 sheep, goats, and cattle to over 10,000 households across 16 arid and semi-arid lands, helping families rebuild livestock wealth lost through drought and other shocks. To strengthen pastoral livelihoods, we have vaccinated more than 10 million animals expanded local vaccine production to over 123 million doses, established feedlots and hay storage facilities, restored more than 300,000 hectares of degraded rangelands, expanded breeding programs, and strengthened livestock training, marketing, and market infrastructure, including here in Wajir. Today, we are also deploying an additional 2,000 agripreneurs for our ASAL counties, seated right here in our midst. They will provide last-mile agricultural advisory services, connect pastoralist communities to markets and finance, and support the transition to climate-smart agro-pastoralism and more resilient livelihoods. Together, with the 5,000 already in place, we now have 7,000 agripreneurs driving agricultural transformation across our country. The results of this deliberate intervention are already visible. Meat exports have increased by 84% from Kenya shillings 8.9 billion in 2022 to Kenya shillings 16.4 billion in 2025. Milk production has increased from 4.6 billion liters to 5.3 billion liters, while dairy exports have grown from 4.9 billion Kenya shillings to 14.2 billion Kenya shillings. These gains are translating into higher income for livestock and pastoral communities, stronger markets for producers, and greater confidence in the future of pastoral economy. But this is only the beginning. Just as crop farmers receive deliberate government support, pastoralists too deserve support for the assets upon which their livelihoods depend, because livestock is agriculture and pastoralists are farmers. That is why we will expand livestock support program through a new phase of strategic restocking, enhanced vaccination campaigns, improved feeding programs, drought-resilient interventions, and additional feedlots. Our vision, however, goes beyond production. Just as tea farmers own their factories through KTDA and dairy farmers own their cooperatives, pastoralists too must own and control the businesses built around their livestock. That is why we are establishing a Kenya shillings 5 billion county livestock investment company initiative to support more than 350,000 pastoralists across 21 ASAL counties to form and own livestock investment companies. Through these enterprises, they will gain access to markets, gain access to finance and insurance, and value add their produce. In phase one, the initiative will improve the livelihoods of more than 2 million household members. I have directed the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, in partnership with county governments, to begin immediate registration of these companies across all the 21 ASAL counties. We will also operationalize the Livestock Enterprise Development Fund, establish a national strategic fodder reserve, strengthen pastoral cooperatives, fully roll out the animal identification and traceability system, and invest in the infrastructure needed to unlock premium export markets across Africa, the Middle East, and beyond. We must move beyond live animals exports to higher value products such as meat, leather, and dairy. Today, we make history. For the first time in 63 years of self-rule and national celebration, Madaraka Day is being hosted here in Wajir, in the heart of northern Kenya. This is not a mere ceremonial gesture. It is a national declaration. It is a moment of affirmation that Madaraka, our freedom, our dignity, our self-determination, was never meant for some Kenyans and not for others. It was never meant for some regions and withheld from others. Madaraka belonged, still belongs, and will forever belong equally to every single Kenyan. Fellow citizens, on Madaraka Day in 1963, our freedom fighters did something consequential. They secured the transfer of political authority from colonial hands into African hands and into Kenyan hands. But self-rule was never simply about changing who holds power. It was about beginning the long but necessary journey of building a nation worthy of the sacrifices that secured its freedom. That promise, that work in progress, is the reason we are here today in Wajir. Decades after independence, this region was left behind through neglect, marginalization, discrimination, and policy failures. Sessional paper number 10 of 1965 entrenched a development paradigm that concentrated development in the so-called high potential areas. Vast regions like the former northern province were classified as marginal, as lesser, and as undeserving. The consequences, ladies and gentlemen, were devastating and long-lasting. Decades without adequate roads, without water, health, or schools. Communities pushed to the fringes of their own republic, their patriotism questioned, their citizenship doubted, their aspirations undermined. For too long, some said this region was too difficult, too dry, too remote, and too insecure to deserve any development. That was wrong then. It is wrong now. It will forever remain wrong. But we are dismantling that legacy of exclusion. One road, one health facility, one school, one project, and one opportunity at a time.